Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another breakdown and predictions video, and for this we got a big card, man. UFC Houston. We got former champ Sean Strickland looking to put himself back into title contention by beating a streaking contender in Anthony Hernandez, and just a great card throughout. I really like this fight card. There's several matchups that I'm really excited about, and man, we've been killing it this year. We've really been cooking. We were perfect on the first event. The second event, I think we went like 9 out of 13 or something like that. And then we went 12 out of 13 on the picks on the last UFC card. So, really been having some good reads, good predictions, and we're looking to continue that momentum. So, hit the like button, put a comment down below. Let's try to get 100 likes. Let's try to get as many likes as possible. And put some comments down there. Let's try to boost the algorithm and push this video out to more people. Share it with your friends or anyone, and would really appreciate some more support on these videos, man, because I feel like we're giving out some pretty good analysis and predictions. But if you want access to other breakdown and predictions for different promotions, like there's Cage Warriors 200 going on this weekend, which is a really good card. Nick Bagley is fighting Solomon Simon in the main event, and Fury is having a fight card this week. A couple other promotions, KSW. So we'll have some content on the Patreon for those promotions, and on top of that, you're helping support the channel, keep it going by signing up over there. So appreciate everyone already over there, and go sign up. The link is in the bio if you're interested. But let's get in this first fight of the night. And so the first fight we're going to talk about, it's a women's flyweight fight. Juliana Miller taking on Carli Judice. And a fight between a former Ultimate Fighter winner, which normally in female MMA, that's a big deal. You look at a lot of the fighters that have won tough, they become champs, like Carla Esparza, two-time UFC champion, Juliana Pena, two-time UFC champion, Nico Montano even won that title, and Tatiana Suarez fought for the belt. So usually if you win the Ultimate Fighter, you're already near the top of the division, but Juliana Miller isn't on that level, though. It's hard to see her getting to those heights. She is coming off a win last May, and after that fight, she got stem cells, and she repaired a torn labrum, and she says that that's completely changed her life inside outside the cage, and she does look strong. She looks in good shape, and she was talking about how she's very disrespected by the line, and she's gonna go in there and prove everyone wrong. And Juliana, she kind of has a screw loose in general. She's an eccentric fighter to say the least, but it's a tough fight against Carli Judice, one of the rising stars in women's MMA. I think a dark horse at 125, back-to-back knockout wins, and all three of her fights in the UFC, she's earned a bonus, and she's getting a hometown fight of sorts here. She's only about 3 hours away, training in Lafayette, Louisiana, from Houston, and she's even cross-trained with Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai for this fight camp. So she's gotten some training in over there in Texas, and she's only 5-2, so she's getting built up slowly, taking another tester fight here. But this is a good matchup because her last fight she fought a small grappler. Now she's getting a tall, long, lanky, durable girl, and with good grappling as well. So, I mean, this fight's pretty self-explanatory. Miller is the grappler. She's going to look to get attached, take the fight to the ground by any means. Carli, she's going to want to use her footwork, beat up Miller on the feet, and Judice is going to be much faster, sharper. She's a little hittable, but her offense is really awesome. She's amazing with her speed. She has great hands. She'll shoot long punches down the pipe, nasty teeps, good head kicks. And if Miller's trying to catch kicks in this fight, she could get knocked out with the head kick. That's a bad habit of hers. And you look at Judice, her combinations are just super good in general, though. And I think she will be really aggressive in this fight. Miller normally invites a brawl, and it's not worked out for her like when she fought Luana Santos. But normally, Miller is willing to stay in the pocket exchange, and it isn't pretty, but she'll throw some hard jabs, twos, and try to get you tired where she can grab you and get you to the mat. And her footwork is really bad, so she kind of has to take shots and be in that brawl if she wants to get connected. But it's going to be really hard for Miller to get it to the ground, I think. Judice, her last fight looked impressive grappling, wrestling, defense-wise. And Miller has good back takes. If she can't get on top, she is pretty aggressive and a decent finisher. But I think Judice is stronger. She has better offensive weapons in the clinch. Her footwork is way better. It's not going to be easy for Miller to just grab her in the middle of the cage or shoot. And I think that Judice's knees will be dangerous too. If Judice can back Miller up and put combinations together, I think she can find another finish. Miller is tough, but she's been finished with strikes before, and I think Judice is one of the most dangerous offensive strikers in this division. She has the link that's here, which Miller usually has, and she pulls back and kind of uses her link to defend and mask mistakes. But in this fight, she's not going to be able to rely on that. And I think the body attack of Judice may produce a finish or lead to a head kick or major head strike. Judice isn't going to slow down and give Miller the fight after beating her up either. So I just predict Judice wins via second round knockout. I think she's the real deal. You look at these odds, I mean, minus 750, minus 800, even minus 900 on FanDuel. And I kind of think that number is going to keep going up. I don't see a lot of people coming in on the Miller side. But you see it there. I mean, Judice, 5 knockout wins in her 5 victories, 4 first round finishes. So very dangerous. And she's someone that goes out there and gets the job done early in a lot of her fights. So I got to go with Judice here. And I'm going to say second round. And in the second fight of the night, we got a great fight. I'm really excited for this one with Jordan Levitt taking on Yadier Del Valle, 2 top-notch grapplers here. And Yadier Del Valle, he's coming in this fight with a chip on his shoulder because he had what should have been the best win of his career in his last fight. He was a significant underdog when the line opened, at least, and ended up winning via first-round submission. But the problem is the fight was rigged, and Isaac Dogarian knew he was going to tap in the first round before it even started. So that obviously tarnished the victory for Del Valle. And although it's a win on his record, it doesn't really mean too much. And he is 10-0. He has wins over other good fighters like Connor Matthews, Michael Aswell. And Del Valle, he's from Cuba, but he's been training out of Houston since he's gone pro. So he has to fight on this card. He got his wish. He's going to be fighting in front of his training partners, his friends. And he's going to be welcoming Jordan Levitt back down to 145 pounds. Levitt has been wanting to fight at featherweight for a couple of years now, but the UFC's wanted him to stay at lightweight for whatever reason. And he hasn't fought at featherweight since 2019. So hopefully the weight cut, everything goes good. But I think it's a good move. He was never a big lightweight, and he can be the bigger guy in most of his fights at 145. He did well at lightweight. He's coming off a 1 minute 39-second submission win over a underrated tough guy in Kurt Hollabaugh. But pretty big underdog coming into this fight here, and he's gonna have to prove the bookies wrong and perform his best if he wants a 6th UFC win. But Yadier Del Valle, short, compact, powerful guy, southpaw, and he'll throw hard kicks, good hooks, nice inside low kicks, and he'll throw body kicks, head kicks. He mostly throws lead hooks on the feet to start his combinations. He'll go to the body, he'll go to the head. He will throw some 1-2s or 1-1-2s, but usually only when he has fighters backed up near the fence. His conditioning is really good, and I think that's one of his main weapons. He's willing to put his foot on the gas, pour on the offense in the clinch, the dirty boxing. His power isn't that great, but he can finish you on the ground, and he can mix in double legs. His control is solid. He's won fights just by holding guys down, and he'll also take the back and get rear naked choke wins. When you shoot on Yadier, he has a pretty nasty guillotine also, so he's dangerous. But sometimes when you shoot a guillotine to defend takedowns, it can end bad, put you in negative positions, and definitely needs to be careful versus a grappler the caliber of Jordan Levitt to not go to his back. But cardio from Del Valle is a weapon, like I said. He landed 91 strikes in round 2 of his Contender Series fight, 177 strikes total. And in the UFC, he hasn't really had to show the gas tank, but he's going to have to eventually. And this fight, I could see him having a difficult round one. So this might be the fight that he shows that off. But Jordan Levitt is an underrated fighter. He did well at 155. He had moments, even in his losses, to go with some slick finish wins. And he's a grappler. He's really nasty on the ground. His wrestling, his physicality against the fence are slept on. And he's been able to take down almost everyone he's fought in the UFC. On the feet, he has more of a defensive approach, kind of awkward defense. He uses guard, elbows to block, almost like Sean Strickland in certain defensive things that he does. But he'll throw oblique kicks, front kicks, side kicks. On the inside, he actually does have pretty good knees and elbows. He's knocked guys out with those. And you'll shoot low singles. He likes to go overhooks in the clinch to find guard pulls or weird takedowns, good sweeps. And his wrestling can be awkward, but it's effective. And sometimes he can hit big slams. He's gotten slam knockouts. He has good timing, especially early with his entries. The main problem with Jordan throughout his UFC career to me has been his cardio. People shit on certain deficiencies in his skill set and striking, but when he's lost, he's gotten tired after having success versus guys like Paddy Pimblett, Claudio Puelles, and he even had a good start versus Chase Hooper and just kind of got caught. But now at 145, his conditioning will be better. I think he'll be able to control and take fighters down easier. In his losses, he got out grappled. Claudio Puelles, got takedowns, one on position. Paddy Pimblett jumped on his back, choked him out. Chase Hooper got his back and got a rear naked choke as well. But Levitt was able to sweep Hooper with the omoplata. He landed some gnarly ground and pounds, almost put Hooper out before getting caught. He was able to take down Paddy Pimblett, control him a little bit in the first round. So Devali has good grappling, but I don't know that he's on Levitt's level. I think he has to rely on Levitt slowing down to get it done. And I think Levitt wins the first round of this fight at a really high clip. So if you like Yachty or maybe look to live bet, I expect Levitt to impress here, though, because he will be stronger. He's going to be more in shape at 145. He can impose his strength, his grappling. And then on top, I think his wrestling and striking, I think his striking on top is going to be surprising. He'll put more power with his elbows, with his punches. And even on the feet, I think he'll surprise people and be better there. So I'm actually going to predict a first round submission win for Jordan Levitt here. He became only the second person to submit Kurt Hollabaugh in 30 fights. His last fight, and I think he's going to give Yadier Del Valle his first submission loss. Yadier is a decent grappler, but I don't rate anyone he's fought as far as grappling. His striking is nothing special. I don't think he's going to be evasive enough to avoid this being a grappling match. And if Levitt puts Yadier down early, I could see Yadier looking to muscle his way up, making a meathead mistake, exposing a submission. And if Yadier wins, I think he's going to have to force some scrambles or really get heavy on top, break Jordan. But 145 Levitt is going to have better cardio. He's going to bring a new dynamic, and he's going to get this victory. So give me Jordan Levitt, first round submission. And this next fight, we got a short notice matchup. Fight that I'm not going to spend too much time on because, man, I'm just not good with these Phil Rowe fights. I feel like whenever I pick him, he loses. Whenever I pick against him, he gets the upset. So I'm probably not the guy to listen to if you want to bet on a Phil Rowe fight, but going to have to give you a prediction regardless. And taking on a Dana White Contender Series guy making his debut, John Paul Labozniani. And it's a fight where John Paul was supposed to fight a totally different stylistic matchup, and now he's getting thrown to Phil Rowe. So that's a little bit of a curveball. I mean, you're getting the tallest fighter in the weight class with a really long, crazy, long reach, and it's something to deal with. But I do feel like Phil Rowe, he's losing his athleticism a little bit, his speed and his dynamic ability. I don't think he's quite as dangerous as he used to be. But if this fight's just on the feet, John Paul's a dog. I mean, the guy has great head kicks, really fast straight punches. He actually is really tough. He's willing to, mix it up and get in the pocket and do pretty well in that area. He's constantly switching stances and, very dynamic striker. But I feel like he does float his chin. He could back up and kind of leave openings and get a little wild. So on the feet, Farrell's going to have a chance. He's going to be the slower guy. He's not going to be as technical. But you see when Phil Rowe turns it up and throws those straight punches, he's pretty dangerous. He has big power, and he can, pull defeat or victory out of the depth of defeat and kind of just get the win when he's losing the fight. I know I fucked up that saying, but whatever. But yeah, bro. Phil Rowe. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is if John Paul keeps on the feet, he strikes with the guy. He could very well, win, dominate, rock Phil Rowe early, and coast to the victory. But to me, it's kind of an IQ test fight here because he has the wrestling to put Phil Rowe on his back. And if he goes that route, he takes him down, double legs him, puts him through the washer and in the wrestling department and kind of controls him. He's very, very likely to get this victory. So I think that that's the way to go. But he does love to strike, and he is a little undersized. So if he goes out there, he wrestles for 2 rounds and kind of gets tired, then Furo could maybe, get back into the fight in the third, like we've seen him do, quite a few times. Or if he can't get the takedown and he's kind of stuck on the feet, then it could get even more interesting. But I feel like he's going to be able to get the takedowns fairly easily. And unless he's an idiot, that's going to be his game plan. He's going to go to it and he's going to be able to win this fight, most likely via decision. And up next here, we got Ramiz Brahima. He's taking on Puna Soriano. And really interesting fight. Both these guys have been doing really well recently. You could see both on 3-fight winning streaks. Puna is actually undefeated since dropping down to 170. And Ramiz, he had the comeback fight against Grimbo and it didn't go his way, but the next 3 since he came back after that long layoff, he's looked really good. So he's definitely turned it around since he's came back from all those health issues and injuries. But this is a hard fight to call. I agree with the line being very, very close because I see a lot of people with a lot of confidence on Ramiz, and I don't really understand that because I feel like you're relying on a finish, most likely a guillotine or getting to the back and getting a submission. And I'm not saying that it's like a 1 out of 10 proposition or anything like that, but I don't think that it's that likely that I would lay a minus 120 or even a plus 150 because when you're looking at these guys from a stylistic perspective, what has Ramiz really struggled with in the UFC? Guys that are able to put him on his back and control him there, avoid getting submitted. And Puna, he could be boring, whatever you want to say about his style, since he's gone to 170. He's a great wet blanket. The guy can get on top of you. He could really nullify anything you want to do, control you there on your back, and there's not much a lot of guys have been able to do about it. He was able to, in his last fight, in my opinion, take down a guy with better takedown defense in Nikolai Vretnikov, but at the same time, Vretnikov doesn't bring the same grappling threat, and he's kind of an idiot. So when you're watching him fight versus Ramiz can carry the danger factor longer than a Nikolai can. But at the end of the day, I mean, Puna, he just has to move around on the feet. It's not like Ramiz is, in my opinion, like, he's a good striker. He has good boxing. He's fundamentals. He comes forward. He stays calm. He waits to land nice heavy counters, and he has some power in his hands. But if you don't really give him that counter opportunity, he's going to eventually lunge in, try to get his hands going, and give a takedown more than likely. And that's what Puna has to do. He has to be patient on the feet, explode himself. Obviously, has the power, and he could land and hurt Reese, but try to make Reese make a mistake and then put him on his back. And if you could do that and avoid the guillotine, you're going to hold him down, in my opinion, for the rest of the round. So that's the way that Puna wins. He just has to avoid getting caught in a guillotine, avoid getting tired and shooting into a knee, shooting into a uppercut, running into a big punch, and then getting caught in a submission or getting knocked out. But I think that the finish equity is definitely more on the Reese side, but Puna can go out there and just blanket him and get another 3-0 decision victory. And that's kind of the way I'm leaning. I feel like it's easier for him to do that and get the win via decision than it is for me to envision Reese going out there and catching Puna on a submission or taking his back or something like that, which there's a possibility of it happening, but I just kind of feel like Puna's going to go out there and just out physical him, out wrestle him, and win 30-27. And in the next one, we got the highly anticipated rematch between Nora Cornell and Joselyne Edwards. Honestly, not really sure why they decided to run it back, but I guess the first time when these two fought, it was in France, and it was a controversial decision where most observers felt Edwards should have gotten her hand raised, but Cornell was the one that got it done on that night. So now that Edwards has won 3 in a row, maybe they just want her to get that victory, move to 8-4, and then see what she can do in the rankings. But I think Cornell's actually ranked as well. But regardless, Cornell, she's gone 2-2 in her last 4 fights. But both of her losses were to top 10 fighters in the world and 36 years old. So every fight's a must win if she wants to get to the top at this point. For Edwards, she's just hitting 30 and getting into her prime, and 3 finishes in a row. So she's looking better and better, and a win here would put her closer to the belt than she's ever been in her UFC career. The first fight between these two was really competitive. Edwards was able to hit multiple takedowns. She earned some good control time, but she didn't do any real damage on top in the first couple rounds, really. She got reversed as well, and she got swept with some rudimentary sweeps, and she gave her back in the second round. I mean, she made some mistakes where she looked really green on the ground, and both girls didn't look the greatest, but the takedown defense was not there for Cornell in the first fight. Edwards was not even using great technique to get the takedowns, and Cornell couldn't stop him. But she was ready with the scrambles, obviously. But since the fight, Edwards, she got wrestled by Aline Perez and then slept 2 girls in the first round. And she's really good Muay Thai, which you could walk in on with the big kicks, then let her combinations go with the hands, push you backwards. She's dangerous. She's fast. She's long, which is a hard combo to deal with. And she has little head movement, though, and she's definitely a plotter, kind of a Terminator quality. But Cornell is someone that she's going to want to wrestle, because if she's on the feet, she gives Cornell the ability to land big kicks, and Cornell's just the sharper, cleaner combination striker with more volume, more accuracy, more modern kickboxing style. Both have really good power, but I think Cornell places her strikes a little better and has better defense. So Edwards is going to be pressuring, and she could land clean. I think that durability-wise is probably, kind of 50-50, because we've seen Cornell wobbled in a few fights. But obviously using the wrestling is the way to go. And I expect Edwards to win here via decision. I think Cornell will make it competitive, but I expect takedowns from Edwards, better control, better cardio. And it's a fight that Cornell could win if Edwards has a lackluster performance, but I think that Edwards is kind of moving into a new direction in her career, and I think if she's going to make any noise, she has to go out here and get a fairly dominant victory. So I'm going to say Edwards goes out here, justifies the price tag, and gets a pretty clean win over Njokuani. And up next here, we got Alden Coria taking on Gurule, and showdown between two former Fury FC stalwarts. Gurule was known as the man in Fury. I mean, he was from Colorado, so normally he'd have to travel to Texas to fight a Texas fighter, and he'd come in with his UFC training partners. And when you see fucking Corey Sandhagen, Brandon Royval, and all these fuckers with him, especially at the regional level, it could be a little intimidating. But he always put on super fun fights and came on top every time. He was 5-0 in Fury. He's 4-0 in Houston, Texas. But his UFC run has not gone to plan. I mean, he was 10-0 when he came to the promotion. Pretty hefty favorite in both of his UFC fights, but he lost both of them. Got knocked out by Osbourne and then dropped a decision in his second fight. So now his back's against the wall and he needs a win to keep his job. And it seems like he's had a weird training camp. I'm not sure who his head coach has been. He's been working at the PI, and it looks like he's brought Brandon Royval, Hernandez, but I don't see any coaches with him from Factory X, so they might end up being in his corner, but I don't know that he had the ideal camp for this one. And out in Korea, he was also a beast for Fury. He was an amateur champion for them, and he should have been a pro champ too. I mean, he went 5-1-1. The one no contest, he actually knocked out Paris Moran to win the belt, but he popped for weed and it got turned to a no contest. So it ended up being taken off his resume. But, he really should have won. And it was no sweat, really, because 6 months later he was in the UFC. And Correa, he came in on short notice. He was a sizable underdog, but he came through in dominating fashion. He knocked out Costa in round 3, moved to 11-3 overall. And it's interesting because if these two would have fought when they were on win streaks in Fury, I bet Gurule would have been the favorite or would have been a pick'em type of scenario. But since Correa won in a big upset and Gurule has lost 2 straight, Correa is nearly a minus 300 favorite. So Correa's 5 years younger, training at a super good gym with guys like Joshua Van, the champ. So I think with all things factored in, that's why he's such a big favorite. But it is interesting that, just a couple years ago, this fight probably would have been advantage Gurule in the odds makers' eyes. But Alden Correa is a very slick striker, great footwork, ability to control distance by sliding out of range, stance switching, nice 1-2s, uppercuts. You'll throw calf kicks, front kicks, round kicks to the body, to the head, nasty knees. And he's good at sliding away from punches, circling away from the power, keeping his guard tight, making, good defensive decisions. And you have to attack the body of Correa. You have to go to his legs, maybe try to mix uppercuts, knees, come in between the guard. And Correa's not as good fighting backwards as he is when he can control the center or back you up. And he has decent wrestling. If you're an inferior wrestler, he could take you down, but his wrestling defense, it's getting better, but he's been taken down in fights. He's pretty good at getting back up, but in his losses, he's normally gotten out wrestled. And he's a fighter who could fight close. He's only 2-2 in decisions. So if he can't find the finish, a lot of the time it's a competitive fight. But Gurule, he's gonna have to wrestle in this fight to win, in my opinion. On the feet, he could maybe make it competitive, but he got dropped with the jab his last fight. He's been dropped and knocked out with crosses. He's susceptible to calf kicks, so it's a hard matchup for him on the feet for sure. But Gurule likes to pressure. He'll feint the level changes. He'll come with hand combinations, front kicks, round kicks. But he threw less his last fight after being knocked out from throwing a kick against Osbourne. And I don't think he's going to throw many kicks versus Correa either. I think he's going to look to wrestle hard early. And even if it's ineffective, he has to use that to build the striking. If he can get it to the ground or put Correa on the fence, control him, that's the best case scenario. But if he can use the threat to back up Correa, freeze him, land the big hooks, uppercuts, force exchanges, that's another path for him. But if Gurule gets stuck on the outside and just decides to keep it standing how he did his last fight, I think the jab is going to be a big issue. He's going to get calf kicked. Corea's just going to land more. He's going to land harder. He's not going to get hit. And Gurule's a dog. He's going to be in the fight. So I don't know if I agree with the money line. Gurule also has good cardio. But I'm going to go with Coria because I think he is a formidable prospect with strong skills. He should be able to use the long range weapons, the calf kicks, the footwork, get ups if need be to win this fight. He might be able to catch and finish Gurley, but I tend to think it's going to be a decision. And if that's the case, it could be close. But I'm going to say Alden Coria wins via decision. And I picked him his last fight versus Costa as a big underdog, so I'm going to ride him once again here. But yeah, man, let's go out in Coria. And in this next fight, we got a flyweight bout between Osbourne and Alibi Idiris. And very close money line. A lot of action has come in on Osbourne. He was a much bigger underdog when this line first opened. Now it's almost a pick 'em. And I get it because Alibi, he's kind of a weird commodity at this point because he dropped the ball in the Ultimate Fighter finale last August. He was a minus 500 favorite, but in hindsight, that was just a terrible line because Joseph Morales has proven, I guess he only beat Matt Schnell, but I think he's showing that he could be a threat in that division. And the line wasn't warranted, but still, he was a massive favorite, didn't deliver, and he has some good wins in Kazakhstan, 2 victories on the Ultimate Fighter, but he's 31 years old. He's at flyweight. He can't speak English. So this is a must win for him, man. Going against Osbourne at sink or swim. And Osbourne is someone that's been put in this position a lot of times, settled into the journeyman spot, 5-7 in the UFC, but he's been able to maintain a job because 8 of his fights have been inside the distance. Normally he's kill or be killed, and even some of his decisions have been bangers too. So he's just fun to watch. He's a good test for prospects or up and coming fighters because he's dangerous, he's skilled. But if you're gonna make noise, normally you could find a way to beat Osbourne. And you look at Alibi Idiris, this guy's wild, man. He's just a wrecking ball out there. Tries to get in your face, use that in and out movement, land nice pull counters, land knees, land spinning attacks, just throws a wide array of strikes in the feet, uses his speed really effectively. He does leave some openings, and against a guy like Osbourne, I think that he needs to take a page out of his buddy Alsum Mabayev's playbook and get the takedown early because Osbourne, this guy's one of the bigger flyweights, probably one of the most powerful punchers in the weight, and very sharp, very clean when he still has a gas tank, when he's fresh and sharp early in the fight. Nice 1-2s, 3-2s, goes to the body, goes to the head, and he's going to be looking to time and pick his shots first, Alibi. So it's going to be a gunfight, and if Ode could land early, he could maybe, get Alibi out of there. Or if Alibi, comes in all wild and crazy, we don't really know how he's going to look later on in the fight. But one thing I will say is I've seen him keep a really high pace. So unless he has jitters or an adrenaline dump, I think he's going to be able to have superior cardio, which is kind of key in my prediction. And I do think that ultimately, even though his base and where he's the strongest is in the striking, he does have body lock takedowns. He could, get it on the legs, hit takedowns that way too. And if he's smart, he's going to mix it up. And I think he's going to take down Ode and control him a little bit, take some zip away from him, and then get the striking going. And maybe he could find Ode's chin. Both these guys, I guess more Ode than Alibi, but Alibi got rocked by Morales, but we've seen Ode knocked out before. So if Alibi lands a knee or something, he could knock out Osbourne. But I think wrestling him to set that up first is the way to go about it. I'm going to go with Alibi here, but I kind of get why people are not sold on him because he's not the youngest guy and he doesn't have many super high caliber victories. So we'll see exactly how he looks here. But I'm going to say that Alibi is able to go out there and win round 2, round 3 via submission or knockout. I don't really have a great read on how he'll finish the fight, but I think he will get it. And up next here, I think we got another really competitive fight, and the odds makers agree with the line being minus 120, plus 110. So slight favorite there on the Carlos Leal side. But Carlos Leal versus Chidi Njokuani. Chidi, older guy, obviously he's 36 now, but he's getting a fight in Texas where he is from, and he's going to have his friend's family there. It's going to be a big fight for him. And outside of his last fight versus Jake Matthews, where he didn't look good, he got submitted really quickly. He was on a 3-fight win streak after he dropped down to welterweight. He did miss weight a couple times, but he was looking fairly good in the division. And Carlos Leal, he had a bad robbery happen to him against Fakhretdinov. He did win that fight, in my opinion, and then got the quick knockout over Morono, and then got slept himself against Muslim Salikov. So his UFC career has kind of gotten off to a rocky start, and he needs to get the job done in this fight and move up the rankings, because he came into the UFC as a PFO guy already. He's already kind of shown what he can do against higher level competition. So if he can't beat someone like Chidi, I don't know if he's going to stick around in the UFC. So definitely needs to win this fight and try to save his job here. But if you look at this fight from a stylistic perspective, Leal has gotten some wins over, tall, lanky strikers, like he knocked out Delano Taylor. But you look at Sada Busi, 2 losses to Sada Busi for Carlos Leal, who's a long, lanky striker guy. And then Muslim Salikov caught him coming in his last fight. So Leal, he's a beast. I mean, the guy is really strong, comes forward, walks you down, throws big punches, has big power. He goes to the body well, mixes in takedowns, good at clinching you up, controlling you, dirty boxing you. But he does leave openings when he comes forward. He's pretty hittable. And even though he's usually fairly durable, we saw him get knocked out his last fight against Salikov. And when that chin goes for Leal, his ability as a fighter is really going to be diminished, because he relies on his ability to take a shot to get on the inside. And Chidi, I mean, you don't want to take a shot for this guy. The guy has deadly kicks, nasty straight punches. I don't think Leal is going to want to clinch with him, because in the clinch, Chidi has dangerous knees, big elbows, and I think he could do the damage in the clinch positions. So I feel like Leal, the game for him is going to be early on to maybe chop at the legs and just be sharp at the defense. Try to, sure up that area. Keep the pressure on Chidi really hard. Maybe look to mix in the takedowns, but I wouldn't go for broke on the takedowns, because Leal's not like a great wrestler. And if he does shoot and fail a few times early, he has to make sure to leave some in the tank. But just put the pressure on Chidi early, put some money in the bank with some leg kicks and stuff like that, body shots. And then as the fight goes on, open up and try to find the chin. Because I do think Chidi is a little bit, he's not as durable as he used to be. And at 170, I don't know exactly how good he takes strikes. If Carlos could take him down early, maybe he could finish him like we saw Matthews. That was a really odd fight for Chidi, though. Usually he's not that easy to just get out of there. But, yeah, Chidi's going to be looking to pull him into the long-range attacks, get in the clinch with him, do the more damage there, and just kind of try to keep him on the outside and make him pay for closing that distance. And Leal wants to get in his grill, force exchanges on the inside in the boxing range, and then looks to mix in takedowns, make Chidi defend, and then off the breaks try to land strikes as well, and just rinse and repeat until you can find that knockout or until you win a decision. So it's going to be a battle of range here. And I think that, Chidi can win in the clinch or at distance, whereas Carlos could win in boxing range or if he can get on top. So it could go either way. I'm going to lean more towards Chidi slightly. And I'm going to say Chidi and Njokuani either wins by knockout or decision after landing a few knockdowns and having a lot of damage throughout the 3 rounds. And keeping it going, we got a close fight here. Reese and Michel Pereira. A fight I think a couple years ago, Michel would be like a minus 1,000 favorite, but man, oh, the mighty have fallen, right? This guy's lost 3 in a row. He made it to the main event. He fought Fluffy Hernandez. He was on like a 6-7 fight win streak at that point. He'd been running through guys in, just over a minute, under a minute. And Fluffy just broke him down, finished him in the 5th round, really dominated him. And we haven't seen that version of Michel Pereira since that fight with Fluffy. I mean, Abus Magomedov went out there and clean sweeped him over 3 rounds, and Michel just didn't let anything go, was really lackluster in the fight. And Kyle Dawkins came in and knocked him out in 43 seconds, which was probably one of the least likely scenarios people thought was going to happen going into the fight. And I think Bisping was kind of like giving some insight, saying the guy was lifting weights heavy the day of the fight, trying to get a pump in for the cameras, and you just don't know where his head's at. He's online streaming video games this week, and hopefully he's locked in and ready to go. He is training with Sean Strickland for this card. Other guys at Extreme like Dan Ige as well, so they're going to have a good regimen for him, and, if he went out there and he put the work in, he's going to be in position to get this victory because this really should be a layup for him. He's so much more experienced than this guy, Reese. You look at Reese, I mean, not a very experienced fighter, right? The guy has 12 fights, a ton of super fast finishes. Before he came to the UFC, he'd never even been out of the first round, fighting a bunch of nobodies. And with Reese, you got a guy that has good jiu-jitsu off his back. I mean, he'll throw up some submissions. He's dangerous. But no wrestling really. I mean, he's not going to take down Michel, and Michel could take him down if he wanted to, but it's just if he's going to want to, get in the guard and all that. That's the one thing I could see, and it would really annoy me, is Pereira getting a takedown and getting on top and then just giving a submission and losing on purpose type of thing. But if he really wants to go out there and win this fight, man, on the feet, Reese is athletic. He'll throw big uppercuts, big hooks, big punches, but the guy is very hittable. And Pereira should be able to detonate on his chin, kick a hole through his body. I mean, just beat the crap out of this guy on the feet. So, for me, Pereira first round knockout. But if he goes out here and he can't beat Reese, hang him up, buddy. I mean, it's time to go. UFC should cut him. But, yeah, Pereira first round knockout. Man, this is a sick fight, man. I'm super excited for this one. Jacobe Smith versus Josiah Harrell. 2 undefeated guys. Josiah Harrell, this guy has an awesome story. He was signed to the UFC a few years ago. He's actually going to fight Jack Della Maddalena in his first fight, which that would have been a banger too, man. But he had some issues with his brain scan where they found, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but they found something where he actually had to have brain surgery, and he fixed the issue, and he was going to fight in New York for LFA, and I think they did not clear him. So there was some time where he thought he was going to have to retire. He didn't know if he was going to be able to get a commission to let him fight, and he had brain surgery and did all that just to get back in a position to compete. And it looked like it was maybe getting all taken away from him, but he ended up getting licensed in Ohio, and he had a few fights there, and he ended up winning those matchups. And then most recently, he fought again for LFA, and he fought a really good fighter. He fought someone that was training out of Valley Flow, was a main training partner for Bilal, and was like a super good southpaw wrestler that kind of reminded me of Shavkat Rakhmonov. He was like very sticky. He was like someone that was long and good kicks and then would just stay on you with the wrestling. And Harrell was able to break him and beat him. And that was in Minnesota. So he got cleared in Minnesota. Now he's getting cleared in Texas. So it's awesome to have Josiah Harrell join the UFC, man. It really is. I think that this guy could make some noise. And he's getting a hell of a fight in his debut with Jacobe Smith. This is someone that people high in the UFC think this guy can win the title. I mean, you see DC, he's putting a lot of emphasis on Jacobe Smith. I saw he did this interview, and DC was talking about how he's going to personally bring back American greatness in MMA, and he's going to find the best prospects and put them in the positions that they need to be the champ. And he's pinpointed Jacobe Smith as one of those guys. So you see Daniel Cormier working with Jacobe Smith, probably giving him a lot of pointers, helping him out for this fight. And Jacobe Smith, I mean, the guy's a freaking physical specimen. He's a beast. Early on in this fight, and just against anybody, Jacobe Smith on the feet is super dangerous. I think his striking is still rudimentary, and he could look a little weird on the feet sometimes. Like, he'll look like he's like exhausted and his legs get real straight. But when he's fresh and he's closing that distance with the straight punches, the fact that he has a pretty long reach, or kind of like a weird, like he can extend his punches pretty good, even though his 72 inches maybe isn't like crazy long, but he throws long punches. He can close the distance really effectively, and he's really fast, and he throws straight shots. Like, he actually throws clean rear crosses, nice lead hooks. And Harrell's a little bit kind of static. He can be he switches stances. He's evasive in that way, but he doesn't move his head, and sometimes he can kind of settle in a position and just stay there a little bit, and that's where potentially Jacobe could line him up, put a big cross, put a big 2-3 like he did on Preston Parsons, and just shut his lights out early. And I think that's how Jacobe could justify his price tag, because I don't know if he could just go out there and beat this guy in the wrestling like he's done in other fights to win decisions. Josiah Harrell, he's been taken down in fights, yeah, but the guy is elite scrambling. He's super hard to hold down. And I've seen Jacobe Smith against other guys that don't necessarily rate on the same level as Harrell with the get ups. Like, even Nico Price got up from under Jacobe Smith, and he whooped Nico Price's ass, but Nico had some moments at the very tail end of the first round, and you could definitely see Jacobe was a little bit tired. And then round two, he got the early takedown, and it was what he needed to, get that dominant finish win off. But against a guy like Josiah Harrell, it's interesting because Harrell's someone that makes it really difficult for guys to wrestle him. He's a great scrambler. He'll Granby. He always keeps it free flowing. He's able to get back up to his feet really effectively. And then on the feet, like I said, he can be a little bit susceptible defensively, but he's explosive when he throws himself, and he'll throw these switch stance attacks, these blitzes. He has decent kicks. He's low to the ground, so he can go to the body and then come up to the head pretty effectively. And I think that he's more experienced. He's fought harder opponents. He's been in more war type of fights. Like his last fight, for instance, he broke his opponent, got him tired, and then took him out in the third. And I think his striking is a little bit more refined technically than Jacobe. He's not going to bring that same oomph and crazy power and speed early. And I don't think that it's as likely that he's just going to KO Jacobe. Like, Jacobe could just sleep Josiah Harrell in the first minute of the fight. I wouldn't be that shocked. But Harrell's going to have to play the long game. He's going to have to take it in the second, more than likely. Take it in the third, defend some takedowns, maybe scramble, get on top. And with Harrell, when this guy can get on top of you, he's a finisher. He takes your back, he flattens you out, super strong hips, great chokes, good ground and pounds, and his conditioning is elite. He's had fights where he's gotten taken down, he's been out grappled a little bit, and then he turns it around late and gets the finish to get the victory. So I I love both these guys. I think that they could both potentially end up in the top 15. I think Jacoby Smith has more potential, but I'm going to pick Josiah Harrell right now. I'm going to say it's a second or third round stoppage. I think he's just going to be a little bit more calm. I think maybe he'll get hurt early or be kind of being dominated early, but we'll see the tide turn. Maybe he'll land a big elbow or a big strike. You'll see Jacoby kind of start to slow down and start to get hit a little more and more. And then Harrell's going to put him out or take him out on the ground. So give me Josiah Harrell. I think that this guy's will to win is unquestionable. He has indomitable spirit. I mean, if you're willing to have brain surgery to come back to fight again, you're willing to go through some shit, man. So shout out to this guy. I think he's going to be unbreakable. I think Jacoby Smith's going to come in, try to smash him early. He might, take some chunks out of Jacoby Smith. I don't think he's going to smash him completely. Jacoby's going to stick in there. Josiah's going to stick in there, and then we're going to see him crumble Jacoby in the latter half of the fight. So give me Harrell for the upset. I'll say second, third round knockout. And in this next one, we got a heavyweight bout between Sergei Spivak and Ante Delija. And this is a hard one for me because I'm not a big fan of either of these guys, man. I know a lot of people are big Ante Delija fans, and I picked against him in both of his UFC fights. Terrible pick versus when he fought Tybura, but Waldo, he almost got Waldo out of there, and then Waldo turned the table on him. But yeah, I know a lot of people thought he was going to beat Waldo and move into that title picture, and they think really highly of Ante. But for me, I've seen some performances that I'm just not high on, like where it looked like his body failed him, like in the fight he fought the Fedor's guy. I can't remember his name right now. He got finished and looked really bad, and he could just have bad performances sometimes. But I do see why people think he's a hard match for Spivak because he's going to be on the gas, pressuring early, throwing combinations. And that's the exact thing that Spivak is not like. Spivak likes to shell up. He likes to, pressure forward and throw his own combinations. He has good speed, but he doesn't have the power. And when you back him up, he struggles to really land and, put anything on you to back you up. That's why he has to go to his clinch game and then put you on your back. But in this fight, I don't know if he could take down Ante Delija. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for him to get the throws on Ante. I think Ante is pretty fundamentally sound with the grappling. If he does end up on his back, or with the wrestling, if he does end up on his back, I think that he could be in trouble. But I could see him going out there and just blitzing, getting Sergei out of there early as well. So I just think there's more outs for Ante in this fight. I don't got a big breakdown for this one, honestly, because I just don't like either of these guys, and I'm probably not going to be too invested in the fight. So personally, not a fight I'm too looking forward to, but I'm going to say Delija wins via first round finish. And in the feature bout, we got Dan Ige taking on Melky Costa. Dan Ige looking to keep his spot in the rankings, and Melky Costa looking to break into the top 15 of the world. You look at Ige there at number 14, but 34 years old, defending a spot against a 29-year-old on a 5-fight win streak. And you look at Dan Ige, he has losses recently, but look at those names, man. Diego Lopez, Lerone Murphy, Patricio Pitbull. No shame in losing to those guys. And you look at the level of competition that Costa has been fighting, nowhere near the same level. So definitely a step down for Dan Ige. And I don't know how much of a step up Ige is from like Morgan Charrier, Rosa, Christian Rodriguez, Andre Fili, but he's a step up for sure. I mean, you saw him destroy Fili actually, so um, yeah, it's going to be a level up for Costa, but I think he's ready for it. And we haven't seen Costa lose since he got knocked out by Steve Garcia, who's gone on to move into the top 10 in the weight class. And you look at this fight though, it's an interesting one because Costa's been taken down, and I could see certain people coming in with the game plan to tell Ige to go out there and wrestle. But I think that would be a little bit foolish because we saw Ige come with that game plan against Cerrone Murphy. And I just think in the majority of his fights throughout his career, he's been a striker. And when he tried to wrestle offensively in that fight in the first round, he was effective, but he gassed. And you don't want that to happen against Acosta that's going to be constantly moving around. So I think that if it's an easy takedown, take it, but don't force the wrestling and really get out of your original element that you usually like to fight in. Just try to find that shot, man. Stay patient. But with Costa, he's gonna fight long with the kicks. He's gonna look to stay out of boxing range, and I would look to mix in takedowns from Costa because I think with Ige, he has good takedown defense, but you see him in certain fights, he can get put on his back and he has good get ups, but it starts to affect his output. When you wrestle him, he won't throw as much offense, and you could start to kind of take over the fight, land more, and get the victory. And Ige is super durable, but we did see him get rocked his last fight versus Patricio Pitbull. Costa brings those head kicks, the dangerous crosses. Even though I don't think Costa has the craziest power, maybe he could land something like he did on Sharia early, like a really explosive head kick. But really, I think when you look at this fight, Dan Ige is going to be looking to put the pressure on Costa, probably chop the legs, go to the body, get Costa tired with his presence and pressure, and then look to find the chin and put Costa out. I don't think Costa is necessarily the most durable guy, so it gives Ige a good opportunity to maybe find that knockout because we all know how powerful he is. But if he can't get the finish, it's going to be Costa peppering him at range, being too fast, too sharp, a little bit too slick. Um, and I think that he's going to just flow a little better than Ige. He's going to mix it up. I could see him getting some takedowns, which I think is going to surprise Ige. I think that Costa's grappling is underrated. If Costa gets clipped, I wouldn't be shocked if Ige can come in here and sneak another victory over a prospect. But I think the end of the road and the light at the end of that tunnel is kind of approaching quickly for Ige, and I think Costa is going to push him further towards that destination. So I'm going to go with Costa via decision. And co-main event time, we got a fight that is 100% guaranteed fun with Geoff Neal and Uros Medic. Geoff Neal, shout out to this guy, man. Hopefully he's gotten 100% sober and he's gonna stick sober. And he opened up, man. He talked about all the issues he's had in the past. He got sepsis, and obviously we know about his DUI arrest that Ian Gary threw in his face and all that. But he's looking like he's gotten on the right track here. And man, it's pretty incredible if he has focused himself what he could potentially do, because he was in there competing against the best in the world when he was a drunk. So I mean, if this guy could get his life together, who knows how far he could take it in the division. He's still not the oldest guy. He's 35, so it sucks that it took him this long to get his shit together, but still ranked number 12 in the world. If he could beat someone like Uros Medic, even though he's had losses to a lot of the top guys, most of the time when he gets in there, it's a fun fight, and no one would not want to see Geoff Neal in there with someone that's in the top 10 um, going forward. So Geoff just has to win here, and he'll put himself right back in position. But for Medic, man, this is his ticket. He called his shot last year. At the end of the year, he said that he guaranteed he was going to be in the top 15 in 2026 and fight number 12 in February. So if he can get this win, he's going to be right. He's going to be in the top 15 very early into the new year and, trying to move up in these rankings. So, man, this is a great fight, though. Geoff Neal, he's an amazing fighter to watch. He brings it every single time. On the feet, he has elite southpaw boxing, nasty left kicks. He was a lot more kick-heavy early in his career. He got 2 head kick knockouts. He still throws some nice body kicks and high kicks, but he's much more of a puncher now. And he'll try to cut the cage off, use his high guard, or even come forward with low hands if he wants to bait you in. And his reflexes are great. He'll slide in and out with counters, 1-2s, 3-2s that pack heat. He's good at staying disciplined and then darting in, putting power on guys, putting flurries on guys at the correct moments. And against movers, he can struggle somewhat to close the distance. He has losses to Wonder Boy, to Ian Gary, Carlos Prates. But the Ian Gary fight, it really could have went either way. The Wonder Boy fight, he did get outclassed, and then Carlos Prates obviously put him out with that spinning back elbow. But most of the time, Geoff Neal can make it difficult for anybody, and will try to counteract long fighters by clinching them, and it can work busy strong. He has decent dirty boxing, but better clinchers like Shavkat, Neil Magny beat him at that game and ended up beating him. But against Uros, Neal's going to be a lot more physical, and I think takedown defense, it won't be really tested here, but it's top notch. So he's going to be able to keep it on the feet if he wants to, or get the takedown if he wants to in this one, and kind of have a little bit more options than he's had maybe in other fights against more well-rounded fighters. But he's normally really durable. He's only been knocked out twice in 23 fights. But his last fight versus Prates, he did get put out really badly. So hopefully there's no lasting effects from that. And, man, I mean, he's fighting a really dangerous guy. He's fighting a sniper in Uros Medic, who's also a southpaw. He doesn't have the longest arms, but he's tall and he uses his length well. He'll throw super accurate straight punches, nasty hooks, uppercuts on the inside. His kick punch combinations or punch kick combinations are seamless. And he's very aggressive, and he always is hunting the finish. The fact he has speed and it can extend his combinations just make him super dangerous. And then he's just accurate and powerful. He's one punch KO'd multiple fighters in his UFC career, and he has 9 first-round knockouts. So you have to be really careful. Medic is one of the most dangerous strikers in the weight early on. He can make defensive mistakes. He likes to parry punches, and sometimes when he parries the lead hand away or tries to counter leaning backwards with the rear hook or cross, you could catch him. And he's been dropped early in multiple fights. He also got knocked out really quickly against Puna Soriano. He's tough, so if you do drop him and he can get back up, he will. But he gets hurt almost every time he's hit clean lately. And he leaves a lot to be desired in the wrestling and grappling realm. He can be kind of difficult to control, but if you can make it a rough fight, he'll kind of give in mentally and he can slow down. His cardio is good in a striking fight, but he's a little bit breakable in a wrestling grappling fight. So I think Geoff Neal is more durable and experienced, which will lead to him getting it done. I think he knows that Medic is really dangerous, so he's going to look to clinch early, take some zip and sting away from Medic. If he can successfully wear him down a little bit, then he could back him up and start to land heavy with the punches. And Neal has the ability to work in a range and explode and land well, so Medic needs to be aware and sharp with his defense. Southpaw versus Southpaw is going to open up the kicks for both guys too. I just think that Geoff Neal is going to be able to survive the early goings and either find a late first round or second round stoppage. And I'm going to go with Geoff Neal. And lastly, we got the main event. It's going to be Sean Strickland taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Strickland, fresh off the suspension. He hasn't fought in about a year, a little bit over a year actually. The last time he fought was February 7th, 2025. And that fight was against Dricus. The rematch for the belt ended up losing that decision. So needs to get back on track. 2 losses in the last 3 fights, 34 years old now. The questions are going to be starting to build up about his future if he loses this fight. But a win and the world opens up for Sean. I mean, if he gets this win, he's going to snap the 8-fight win streak of Anthony Hernandez. He's going to show that maybe he's the guy that could beat Chimaev, because Hernandez is going to bring that same style that Chimaev is going to bring, and maybe in a little bit different way, but it's going to be a heavy wrestling, heavy grappling attack. If Sean can handle that well and really kind of nullify it and do his thing, then I think that the clamoring for the Chimaev fight is going to reach, really big heights, especially because those guys don't like each other, and the buildup, I think, would be epic. But Hernandez, if he wins this fight, he's going to earn the title shot the hard way, and I think it's going to be undeniable. But the hard thing about it is Chimaev just doesn't fight that much. He's going to have to fight Imavov most likely. So how long is Fluffy going to want to sit out and wait for the title shot? But if he wins this fight, he's earned the right to wait for the belt opportunity if he wants to, because that would be a win over a former champ. It would solidify this long win streak that includes some, pretty solid victories over guys like Brendan Allen and Roman Delija, and I think would put him in that number one contender position. But yeah, so there's a lot on the line for both these guys. Obviously, Hernandez right now is the one that has the momentum, but Strickland, losing in a title fight, I don't think you could really say that he's lost a step or anything like that. You're going to need to see more proof before you could reach that conclusion. But stylistically, this is an amazing fight. Sean Strickland, you look at him, throughout his whole UFC career, the one thing that he's been really good at is getting back up to his feet when he's getting taken down. He's had one fight against Kamaru Usman where he got controlled for a lot of the fight and ended up losing a decision that way. But you look at his fights at middleweight, there's only been one fight where he really got taken down a handful of times, and that was the first Dricus fight. And Dricus took him down 6 times, but had less than 2 minutes of control. So the second fight, when they fought, he didn't even really wrestle. He threw it out the window because I think he kind of saw it as a waste of energy, because from the first fight, he knew he couldn't really control Sean on the mat. So that's a very interesting thing, because on the feet, I don't think it's competitive. I think Hernandez, his striking is okay, man. Good kicks. He'll throw the straight punches, but it's all predicated on him being able to get the takedown. If he can't get the takedown, the jab is going to be there for Sean all day. He's going to be calf kicking. He's going to be 1-2ing. He's going to be throwing the teep to the body, doing all the things that the casuals dislike. And, man, it's all going to be effective, because on the feet, Hernandez is extremely hittable. The guy takes damage early in a lot of his fights, and you see the type of opponents that he's fighting, like Edmund, Roman Kopylov, Michel Pereira, Roman Delija. What do all these guys have in common? They're all gassers. They're all people that have a breaking point, that quit. And I don't think Sean's going to give up in there. I don't think Sean's going to fatigue and reach that breaking point. It's going to be a fight where if Fluffy could take him down and get into that, back ride position where he's has the tight waist around Sean Strickland and is just kind of mat returning him and throwing these short punches until Sean just mentally checks out and it's just Fluffy just mauling him. I think that's his path to victory, but I don't think he's going to be able to take his back or dominate him on the ground or take him down and just flatten him out and beat him down. I don't think that on the feet he's going to be that competitive. I think Strickland's going to have a major edge in the stand-up. He's going to do big damage. I know Sean isn't a big power guy, but a jab is a jab, and if you can land a jab to someone's eye 15 times, it's going to start to close up. It's going to start to have some damage, and I just don't think Fluffy is going to have the success closing the distance that he's had versus other guys. I don't think he's going to get Sean to back up as easily as he's done other guys. And if he can't get the takedown or he can't get Sean on the fence consistently, he's going to get roughed up. And even if he can get takedowns, if Sean gets back up to his feet several times and really nullifies what Hernandez is doing. Maybe Hernandez will try to settle into a striking battle, which would be disadvantageous for him. Or maybe he just will, get frustrated and start to make mistakes. So I think Sean should be, the slight favorite in this fight, or maybe it should be a pick'em. I don't get why he's such a big dog just because he lost to Dricus. I don't think Hernandez has proven himself at this level. And I'm going to go Sean Strickland via decision. So there you have it, guys. It's a full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Houston. Going Sean Strickland in the main event. So, like I said at the top of the video, man, would really appreciate some support on this one. Hit the like button, share the video, put a comment down below, hype it. Let's try to get as many people to view this video as possible because we've been really on fire with the predictions. Looking to keep it going here. And yeah, guys, really appreciate everyone for watching. As far as the parlay of the week, I'm going to say do a parlay with Carli Judice and Joselyne Edwards. I think it'll be ladies' night. They'll both get it done. And for the underdog of the week, I'm going to go with Jordan Levitt for this card. I think he's a great underdog for this fight card. Harrell's a good underdog. Sean Strickland's a good underdog. So there's a good variety to a handful of underdogs to choose from on this card. And if you want access to all my bets, go to patreon.com/PredictionGuru. Really appreciate everyone that watched the video like I just said. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.